Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's been a while. MJ Vallejo here, host of the Creative Crucible Podcast. I am so excited to bring this episode to you because I have somebody very special. But if we're being honest, I have never met him in my life. We've only known each other on the digital arena called social media. So let's go ahead and introduce him. His name is Luis. What's going on, Luis?
Hey, what's up, MJ? How are you, bro?
Dude, I'm doing good.
I first want to thank you for your time, bro, and like this setup right here. And it's crazy, like you said, we met a week ago. I had a FaceTime call with you, and
I want to say we met a week ago. Yeah, we did hop on the FaceTime.
Yeah, bro. So that's the beauty of it. Thank you for having me here, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such an honor having you on the show because the reason why we met and the reason why we hopped on the FaceTime call is because you struck my attention on Instagram. So you started following me about, I want to say, let's just say a month ago.
A month ago, yeah, bro.
Yeah, about a month ago. And I did not follow you back. I did not follow you back because I was just like, who the heck is this Luis Angel guy following me? But the reason why you struck my attention was because even though I didn't follow you back, you still remained engaging with my content. So I was posting maybe once or twice a week, and you're always commenting, you're always liking my content. And I feel like, dude, this is exactly what it's about. This is what I'm always encouraging on my podcast.
Definitely. To
always engage and try to connect with your community and possibly other people in your industry.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of like start with that. I mean, what exactly do you do, and what do you kind of like consider yourself, like what umbrella do you feel like you fall under?
Yeah.
And then we can kind of like segue into the whole social media.
First of all, I'm going to give a little background on me. Yeah. So just like a little recap.
Yeah.
Back in 2014, when I graduated high school, I decided to go off to college. I went over to UC Santa Cruz. It was a slap in my face, bro, because high school for me was like a piece of cake in the sense of like, okay, I studied before the test and I'll be good, right? So then college comes around, bro. I didn't get my shit together probably till, we could cuss on this, right?
Oh, we're totally going to cuss on this.
I got my shit together around year 4, bro. Like my third year, I kind of like really started focusing, but it wasn't until I reconnected with a good friend of mine, bro, who was in the social media industry, and he was also self-development. So I was like, hey man, like, is there any good book that you recommend for me to start off? And he gave me Grant Cardone's book. I believe it's called How Not to Be Sold. And it was about selling, but it was more about life, and it kind of reflected on me. Fast forward, bro, I fell in love with psychology, and then I was like, you know what? I don't see myself getting a PhD, having my own practice. I was like, I want to implement it in business. And then fast forward to now, bro, about 6 months ago, my boy Mowdy, my boy OD, the barber back at home, were like, let's start a podcast. My barber was like, hey man, you want to help me out with starting a YouTube around barbers? I'm like, yeah, man, like, let's do it. I'll help you. And it's like, the cool thing is, bro, I have a new podcast coming out. Like, this is my ideas. And then he was cutting me up, man. He was, and he's like, do you want to do it together? And I was like, bro, let's do it. And that's how the Knowledge Heist was created. My guy Mowdy, who's my cameraman, bro, he came in by accident on the 4th episode. I was having camera trouble, bro. And he's like, we could postpone this one, dude. Let me help you next time. Since then, bro, we've just been cultivating a good friendship and growing together. And then that led to the idea, like, dude, let's start a production company around creating content for business, but also through storytelling, and help them distribute. My biggest thing is distribution, because these social media platforms offer different benefits. Twitter is more copy. Instagram is visual. Then you got your Snapchat, that's quick stories. You got TikTok, which it's just coming up and blowing up real good on like funny and trendy stuff, right? So it's like I'm researching that. So I guess you could call me a content creator, but I consider myself more of like a content distributor, like research, because I like the back end stuff. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, man. I don't know how to label it, but that's where I'm at right now.
So when you say like back end stuff, like for publishing the content, you're talking about like maximizing the results from publishing. So are you talking about like maximizing your hashtags, things like SEO,
Definitely.
Even like studying the insights of the post?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So like, I spent a lot of time because, you could look back 2 years ago, bro, Instagram's not the same. And you can't post a picture and expect 95% of your following to look at it. You're actually getting about 18 to 20% of your following. And that's exactly why when I started following you, I'm like, dude, like, this guy creates dope ass shit. Like, I want him to know that I like his dope ass shit. So, and it just goes to show, man, like, I'm glad that Instagram's taking likes away and breaking that stigma, like that self-esteem, you know? And yeah, bro, I research all that stuff. So when someone distributes content, they know why it might not be working or what the metrics mean. You know what I mean? So definitely.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, and I don't know if they're actually going to take away the whole Instagram likes or not, because they've been talking about it for the last several months. And the thing about Instagram is, like, we do, and whether we deny it or not, you know, when we see those likes, it does kind of trigger something like something positive, kind of positive reinforcement in our bodies. And I'm guilty of that as well. But
of course,
but I feel like if you're using social media to run your business or even your brand or personal brand, at the end of the day, those likes don't matter unless you're actually kind of like turning those over into paying clients.
I agree.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like, so I'm a photographer and or videographer, right? Now, the thing is, like, back when I was more leaning into photography, I was getting like maybe over 140 likes per photo. Okay. But the problem with that is all those people who are liking those 140 likes were other photographers. Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, that doesn't help my business.
Yes, exactly.
Because a photographer is not going to hire me.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So now I kind of like, over time, I learned that I need to start curating content that's going to kind of impress people who want to pay, like other businesses, people who are not behind the camera. Yes. Show them that, hey, I'm constantly trying to improve my craft, and I'm out there. Like, I'm out here, you know, trying to produce results, help people create sales. So what is the name of your company currently?
So the name of the podcast is called the Knowledge Heist Podcast. And the name of the company, this is the first time I'm mentioning it. It's called Gold House Media. Gold House Media.
Oh my goodness. Yes. A Creative Crucible exclusive. This is the first time
That's the first time I've ever mentioned it, man. So I feel good saying it because it's slowly coming together. I say slowly, but it's actually been pretty fast. And yeah, man, everything's rolling out pretty smooth. So I'm happy to. It was originally gonna be in-house media because I like the in-house. Like, I have an in-house team, and then SEO purposes, like, how do you build an in-house media team? I'd pop up there. Domain wasn't available, unfortunately, but then Gold House sounded way better to me. So that's where we're at right now, man.
Okay. So then you're before we hit the record button, you were talking about how you grew up in Hollister.
Yes.
And then, but with Gold House, you're looking to move in the San Jose area.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay. So why not operate Gold House in Hollister?
So I'm really happy you asked that question, man, because this is the conversation that I had with my team. Is, you know, my whole idea was to be based out of Hollister. I will still represent Hollister. Hollister is my hometown. I love Hollister. I'm a hay baler at heart. But my biggest thing, man, is being in that position where it's like, let's go out a little bigger, man. The mind is a very interesting thing, bro. And it goes back to my psychology background. You don't realize how malleable it is because you only know based on your current circumstance. Meaning, I'm from a small town and I'm supposed to think like a small town kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just a stigma, right? But then when you come out to the Bay Area, bro, or places like LA, there's a different exposure. Every time I come out to the Bay Area, bro, I get overwhelmed. And I've been saying this. I either get overwhelmed because I don't want to learn from it, or I have to learn from it. Meaning, this is teaching me something because my mind is not used to this. So the more exposed I get, my mind's like, okay, man, you belong here. You belong here. And it's like, the more I come out here, man, it's like, okay, I'm getting used to it. I want to know the market out here. I want to know what's over here because, dude, we're in the Silicon Valley, and it's like, we have the amount of money, and it's not money based. It's just the amount of money that we could be generating here is 10 times compared to what I could do back at home. And again, I want to make sure it's not about the money. It's just the fact that you could generate. I'm more about generating money.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why, man. So it's like, I'm in the works. My good friend Brandon BQ, he's been working on getting us a studio, a little office space, and we're all working collaboratively. So yeah, man, that's kind of where we're at right now.
I know exactly what you mean when you say something like when you say, well, it's not about the money generated, but I think what you meant by that is there's opportunity cost out here, right?
Yeah, that's why.
Because the thing is, so because there's so much demand, you know. I mean, if you went up to any large company or corporation nowadays, if you 30 years ago, let's say 30 or 20 years ago, you went up to Apple, hey, what's going on, guys? I want to create, digital media for you guys and put it on social media. They'd be like, screw you guys. If you wanted a video commercial, we're going to go down to Hollywood and LA. We're going to hire those big studios to make a commercial for us.
Exactly.
But it's 2020, man.
Yeah, man.
If you want high quality video, anybody can do it from their office, in downtown San Jose, like Gold House Media.
Yeah.
Or
or MJ,
yeah, or MJ Vallejo.
No, definitely, bro.
But no, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And also I feel like a small town like Hollister versus Silicon Valley. I think the culture is a little bit more different, man. Like if you, from what I understand, like there's just this work
different
culture.
dynamic, bro.
Absolutely.
Different dynamic. It's diverse in the sense, I'm not saying Hollister's not diverse, but when you're like, it goes back to exposure, and there's a lot of things I talk about with my good friend Agustin is evolution and exposure. Is that when you expose yourself to something bigger than you, man, you start adapting, and that's a beautiful thing about being a human is that you adapt. So it's like like that saying, man. I'm not really big on sayings, but the goldfish, obviously when you put them in a bigger size tank, it tends to grow bigger. It's literally like that. And I've been saying this for the last 2 months, actually. I want to be the smallest fish in the biggest tank because it allows me to grow bigger. So it's like, this is why I love the Bay Area. I love it because it's so close, man. It's ridiculous. We're 45 minutes away, but it's a whole different world out here. That's my biggest thing, man. Like Hollister is like known to be an ag town. It's very diversified. It's getting commercialized, and I love to see it grow. I love it, man. I seriously love it. But then it's like you're 45 minutes away from like, dude, you're talking about companies like Facebook, Apple, like the products you use on a daily basis. This is where it's at, and that's the beauty of it, man. Like that's exactly why. So as one of my mentors, Pedro, said, you're gonna be doing the same amount of work for someone who's gonna be nickeling and diming you compared to someone who's willing to give you a $25,000 contract in the Bay Area, a startup. Why are you not working the same amount, but for something bigger than you? And it's opening my mind a little bit, man. And it's all about mentorship as well. I highly encourage people to find mentorship on that. But
so like I'd say like in terms of, let's say like CEOs or maybe even like motivational speakers, are there anybody out there that you kind of look up to or you aspire to be similar to?
Definitely, man. I've been mentioning this a lot lately. I really like what Elon does.
Elon Musk, man. What do you like so much about him?
I like his wittiness, bro. And if you take a look at his interviews, he talks about complex ideas and complex things that happen in a very simple form. If you ask him about AI, he'll make it easy for you to understand what's going on. I don't know if you watched the Joe Rogan podcast with him, when he was talking about, Joe Rogan kept asking me like, but how do you build when he was starting to build the Boring Company, like what? And Elon just kept saying, we just dug a pit. Like, but how do you dig a pit? It's like, we had a parking lot and we just dug a pit. And it goes back to like why I like him so much is that he's very practical, but he's also very technical. He's an engineer mind. Yeah. He has an engineering mind. And I love what he's doing with Tesla. I love what he's doing with SpaceX. I love what he's doing with the Boring Company. And I just like him as a person, man. I just like him because it reminds me that he's still human. And, from a social media perspective, you go on his Twitter, he's a funny guy, man. So it just reminds me that although he's a genius, he's still human. He's built the same. So it's just like, that's kind of what I want to cultivate around. And don't get me wrong, bro. Bill Gates. I don't know if you had a chance to watch his documentary on Netflix. It's the philanthropy too is what drives me, man. I eventually want to give, and Bill Gates is a great example of that. So definitely those two, but Elon definitely, man. I really like what Elon does.
Yeah, I like Elon Musk because, like you said, he does come from an engineering background, and I feel like the engineering mindset, you're naturally willing to accept problems or and you're like always trying to find a solution to a problem. That's why when if you saw the Tesla truck thing,
yes,
when he threw like that metal ball at the window and it totally broke, he was not embarrassed at all. He was just like, oh well, I guess we just got to go back to the drawing board, find a solution.
We'll fix it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of like bigger CEOs nowadays who's all about the business, they would be totally embarrassed about that.
Oh yeah, and that's the beauty of it, man. And just what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, that his stock just hit a freaking record, bro. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's ridiculous, man. Yeah, I read a good article on him actually on LinkedIn. Another platform that I highly encourage people to get on is someone wrote an article about him saying like why he's such a good marketer, and they referred back to that moment where he threw the rock to the Tesla truck. Is because you're not necessarily buying a Tesla car, you're buying into Elon, and the fact that he's so vulnerable is why he's the best marketer. Have you ever seen a Tesla ad?
No, never.
Exactly. It's because you're buying off of Elon. You're not buying a Tesla car. You're buying what he created. So it's like, I like Elon. I probably if I had the ability to or the cash, I'd probably buy a Tesla because I like him. But it's because I like what he lives by. You know what I mean? So he's an interesting guy, man.
Dang. Dude, Elon Musk, man, that guy's just he's just so wild. You can just tell.
Yeah, man, he's different.
Don't know. He was I have watched a documentary of that dude, and that dude started coding when he was like 7 years old.
Yes.
7 years old, and he's like from South Africa or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he co-founded PayPal,
and then he sold it to eBay.
Yes. That was huge, man. If you think about it, bro. That was a different innovative way to tackle on transactions, especially over the internet. And to this day, PayPal is still used.
Yeah, I don't know what's more impressive though, selling PayPal to eBay or using the money he got from that and reinvesting that into like SpaceX, and creating something even bigger. Yeah, how crazy is that?
and then the whole thing where the last time he actually showcased the rocket to NASA, it was do or die. That money could have gone to waste, but he took the risk because he built the perfect rocket.
Are you talking about Falcon Heavy?
Yes. Remember that? Do you remember that? So like that whole thing, like if that Falcon didn't launch correctly, the deal was done. He wouldn't have gotten funded, and SpaceX probably wouldn't have been.
Whoa! I did not.
Yeah. So like if that did not happen the way it should have happened, SpaceX probably wouldn't be around right now.
That actually brings up a really, really good subject that it's been bugging me all this week, and that's about being comfortable.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, let's say this, if somebody told me that I had to go build a rocket and they'd give me billions of dollars, but if it didn't freaking launch, like I would feel...
Yeah,
I totally would not go for it. I'd be like, well, let's go back to the drawing board and see if we could, launch little baby ones first, But that guy, he kind of just went for it. Yeah. I mean, granted, he has like a lot of talent, on his team.
Definitely.
But let's just say it on a smaller scale. Let's talk about like maybe even like video production and things like that.
Yeah.
So, with Goldhouse and the whole content production team.
Yes.
Who would you say is your dream client?
My dream client, man, with my current circumstance and what I'm thinking right now,
but thinking big, like even like the future client, your dream client.
I'm thinking about the next Apple or the next Facebook or the next SpaceX. I'm thinking about the startups who just got funded, in their seed right now, whatever seed they're in, and just got millions of dollars and are willing to pay a base price of $25,000 for content. Because this is the thing, man. A lot of these startups, they're engineers. They're the back end, they're the functional, they create the foundation. But when it's like exposure, like obviously they're more concerned about driving sales or exposure of the product, right? But when I go research these startups, man, some of these startups have been out for a couple of years, right? Their intention to be exposed to social media is there. They have a YouTube channel, they have a couple, episodes or whatever. They have an Instagram, they have a Twitter. So it's like, I see that they're interested in that, but they might not have the right way to do it. You know what I mean? They probably have a marketing team. My goal is just to like produce and deliver and probably help distribute. But if you have a marketing team, it's like we could become a consultation agency is where I'm at. But my main client or my dream client is the next, whether it is the next thing or not, but these startups who just got funded, who I would love to help with and learn from. So that's definitely what my main target is right now for Gold House.
Yeah, and I think, and you make a really good point, because a lot of these startups, when they get, I feel like when they get that VC funding,
yes,
the first thing they want to do for a lot of these engineers is like, hey, you know what? We're going to buy bean bags and we're going to buy ping pong tables. It's like, bro, you guys, the work isn't done. You guys just started. You definitely need content. And, you know, going back to when you said Elon Musk on Twitter, that is not like an accident. And Twitter, like, that is not just,
I agree.
That is not just his hobby. This is intentional.
Yes.
He's intentionally tweeting.
Yes.
Because, and he's trying to be funny on purpose.
Exactly.
You know?
I highly agree, man.
Yeah.
It goes back to him just being human, you know? If he makes you laugh, you probably might like him a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh shoot, he's CEO of all these companies.
Yeah. And the thing about a lot of the stuff I noticed is he's making a lot of the promotions for these vehicles actionable. Yes. So the thing is, like, I know, like, I think it was like 2 years ago in 2018, like, if I had a Tesla, but you wanted to buy one, you use my promotional code and you'll get free supercharging. So instead of just having a whole marketing campaign, he's creating almost a social platform through Tesla promotion.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It's like a referral program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's like, like I said, you've never seen an ad before, but it's like all these different incentives. Yeah, I definitely agree.
So it's essentially like you're getting your money back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Which Tesla okay, if you had to get any of those Tesla models, which one would you have?
Honestly, bro, if I could right now, I'd get that Tesla truck.
Tesla truck?
Yes. When I saw it, yes, it looked like a fifth grader drew it, but I see the aesthetic, and you know, I see like a nice matte color. I'd probably matte it out, but I really like that Tesla truck, man. That's what I would get. I'd order it right now if I can.
Tesla truck. Dang, you know,
or I'd go back to the Roadster.
Oh yeah, the Roadster.
The Roadster.
Are you talking about the one that they launched up in space, or the tiny one?
The tiny one.
Oh, the very first one.
Yes, the very first one, man. That thing I really liked. And I was like, man, this is cool. But one of those two, but definitely that Tesla truck, man. I would definitely get that.
I would totally go for the Model X, only because, like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Jaden Smith, and he has a Model X.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
that's that's a good thing you pointed out, because like that's so influential. Because when I saw that, I'm like, dude, that thing is nice. I was telling you, like, when my daughter was born, I was like, we need to get that.
Oh, dude, yeah, especially with those gull wing door things.
Yes.
Yeah,
man.
So at Coachella last year, Jaden Smith, he lifted his Model X over the crowd.
His actual Model X?
Yeah.
Like the real one?
Yeah.
It wasn't like Drake when he created that drone Lamborghini?
Oh, no.
Or that Ferrari?
No, it was a full on, he lifted it up like with the crane, and it was over the crowd. So, wow. Good thing it didn't fall.
Wow.
That'd be
that's cool though, man.
Yeah.
Jaden's Jaden, man. He's cool, man. I like his stuff.
Yeah. Are you on YouTube? Do you like watching YouTube stuff?
I am, bro. Yeah. Mainly for tutorials and learning. Like the other day I just Googled, like, how do you build a dream team? You know what I mean? So it's like, definitely, I definitely watch Gary Vee. Do you watch Gary Vee?
Oh man, let me tell you something. Every guest I have on here watches Gary Vee. I even watch Gary Vee.
Yeah.
But you know, when I first started watching him I want to say I started watching Gary Vee maybe 3.5 years ago. I thought this guy was full of shit, man. Yeah. I was like, dude, this guy's just another super hype Ty Lopez guy. Do you remember Ty Lopez?
Oh man, yes. Like, hey, tell me about it.
You know what's more valuable than these Lamborghinis? These books right here. It's like, get the hell out of here, bro. Dude. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. But no, Gary Vee, what's really cool about him is he's saying the same exact stuff that he said 3.5 years ago. So you know he's not bullshitting you. It's all real.
And he's practicing it, man. He's making it happen. And honestly, he was a main influence on why I started this, and my main influence on my mindset right now. Because I like how straight up he is. And it's true, man. Sometimes you gotta self-reflect on that. And yeah, so to answer your question, I definitely watch YouTube, but I definitely watch his content a lot. And I mean, he's all over the place, bro. I can't ignore him when he's on Instagram, you know, saying some fire ass shit. Yeah. Or on YouTube when he, you know, his new concept, the Weekly V, man, it's cool, bro. He's finally teaching the people how he does and how he works with his team. He's being extra vulnerable now, and it's just insane to me. And that's why I think he's gonna get the Jets soon, bro. The way he's been dreaming about.
Oh man, you know, my favorite theme that he always likes bringing up is the whole self-awareness thing. Yes. And he really talks about it a lot. And I think my favorite part about that is understanding your weaknesses. Yes. And not working on your weaknesses, outsourcing it for somebody else to do. Yes. So because he's totally right. If you're like, for example, if I'm not good at like maybe editing, then I should not learn how to edit. I should just focus on my strong point, which is like be behind the camera and stuff like that. What would you say is at what point were you kind of self-aware and you kind of wanted to do your own thing, maybe starting with like Gold House and things like
Definitely, man. Probably, well, my whole personal self-awareness started back when I mentioned in college, where I was starting to pursue the cognitive science.
And did you graduate?
Yeah. So another thing, I did, and it took me about almost 5 years, man. And UC Santa Cruz took all my money. But yes, that was my pivot point, man, when I decided to change my major from electrical engineering into cognitive psychology. And that was like when I started finally understanding. And the reason why too, I want to make this clear, is that I didn't take cognitive psychology for me to sit here like, MJ, this is why you're this, or like, this is the issues you have, man. Get your shit together. It wasn't that, bro. It was just so I can learn why I am the way I am. And then through that is like, okay, I want to share some of this stuff. And then I started becoming, I guess I've always been more hands-on, bro. I look back and it's like when in 4th grade, when we had to build the mission project or like anything with like popsicle sticks, I've always liked building stuff. When I was an electrician apprentice, I liked wiring a house. So I figured I'm more hands-on, but I also like to lead, because I'm not a boss or anything. It's like I like to lead because I like to be around other creative people and then cultivate ideas and make it happen. So then fast forward to the Knowledge Heist and to Gold House, that's exactly the culture I'm trying to build, is that you're not working for a company, you're not working for me first and foremost, you're working for yourself, because you are creative yourself. You probably just don't know it, and you have your own way of leading, because I could learn from you and you can learn from me. We come to the table, look at this, what we have, team. Like, that's why I don't like to say like I'm the CEO or the founder of all this, because I really am not. If it wasn't for my team, I wouldn't be as far as I am right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I give a lot of shout out to everyone that has been helping me in mentorship and in the field with me. So I just want to make that clear. Like, it's just a culture I want to build. And that's something that Ray Dalio in his book and Principles talks about. You got to build a culture within your company. And it goes back to what Gary Vee says, bro. And he just dropped a fire ass post before coming here. It says that you got to realize that as a founder or a CEO, your employees don't work for you. You work for your employee. I want to cultivate the best possible environment, the best possible projects, the best possible opportunity for my team. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what I'm leaning towards right now. And that went back to about 3 years ago when I got that self-awareness. And it's an everyday thing, man. I'm learning new things every day. So, but I love it. I genuinely love it, bro. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm actually glad we're doing this episode today, because I want to be honest with you, Luis. This week in particular, I personally I've had a rough week this week, man.
I hear that, bro.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And you know what? And I know the cameras are rolling and things like that, but I don't want to create like this super positive, narrative for all the viewers,
No, definitely.
Because if you're doing your own thing, like doing a personal brand or starting a business, it's not sunshines and rainbows all the time, and this journey is not. And it's been rough for me. So I didn't just bring you here because I wanted to interview you, but I also wanted to ask you for some advice.
Oh, I appreciate that, bro. Yeah. Likewise. That's exactly why I came as well, man.
Yeah. So here, let me just kind of just paint you a picture of like a little bit of what's going on.
Okay.
I'm a film student at San Jose State.
Oh, nice.
It is my last semester. I am stressing the hell out. I am taking 5 classes.
Oh, wow.
If I take these 5 classes and I finish them, I graduate and I get my film degree, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
That's it. Whatever. I'm done with school for the rest of my life. I'm not going to do no master's program. Screw that.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, I go in for a job interview. I like applying for jobs and going in for interviews, even though I know I'm not going to be able to take them because of my schedule. I just like polishing.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I just like polishing my interview skills just for the hell of it. That's good. I went in because they saw my website, they saw my work, and they loved how I curate my content and things like that. They're considering of offering me the job. They said, "Hey, do you want to work with us? But it's going to be full time, Monday to Friday.
Okay,
$80,000 a year."
Oh wow.
So
definitely.
But here's the thing, like, I guess as business owners or entrepreneurs, we're constantly thinking about what's the ROI of something, right? What is the return of investment?
Of course.
So what would you say to me? I have one more semester left of school. Should I take the $80,000 a year job, or should I just say, screw that, I'm going to see what my opportunities are after graduation and finish school?
I guess what it's kind of, I want to answer your question and with a question. First of all, I want to congratulate you on that opportunity. Yeah. That's the first thing, because like you put yourself in that position, and at the end of the day, you deserve it because you manifested it, and I'm really big on that. My second, to answer your question is, do you see yourself doing that for $80,000? And even if you take the price tag away, do you see yourself working for that company, producing content for that company, and enjoying it? Does it align with you?
So to answer that, I'm going to say absolutely yes. So to give you to kind of paint even a better picture what the position is. So it's an investment company. Okay. And the CEO is looking for a D-Rock. Like what D-Rock is to Gary Vee. So that's why I asked you about Gary Vee earlier, because I wanted to lead into this.
Awesome, man.
So basically he wants a D-Rock, a guy who's just going to be doing all this stuff.
Yes.
That's what he wants me to do. And I'm like, whoa, that is dope. I want to do that.
You saying that right now kind of got me juiced up, because I'm like, I would love to be D-Rock. And, I would love to be D-Rock just because you're put in different positions, but you're also creating dope ass shit, man. Like, I mean, I think at the end of the day, man, the reason why I wanted to answer that question with the question is because it goes back to, I want you to kind of, I know you probably spent time thinking about this, and that's why you're asking me. I'm not really good with advice, bro. I kind of see, like, I would do things differently than you. Not saying that I wouldn't take the opportunity, like whatever you do, I'm do the opposite. It's just like, we have different ways of thinking. But it goes back to what, if you that sounds like a dope ass position, bro. And if you think you could do that, my only question is, now, you think it will conflict with what you're doing as MJ Vallejo, as your business or your brand? Do you think it would conflict with that? Or honestly, I think it would up it, because I think D-Rock doesn't just work for Gary Vee. I think he does his own content. And I don't know if you remember Tyler Babin as well for Gary Vee. Tyler Babin, he was Gary Vee's other videographer. He left to go so he got a dope ass spot with Adobe as I forgot what the position was called, but they only curate, they only pick certain videographers. He left that position, but he still creates dope ass content, and he gives thanks to Gary Vee. But it's like, you're able to do whatever you want. So that kind of goes back to that. Like, do you see yourself, like, will this elevate your personal brand as well, or is it going to conflict? Like, man, I wish I was still doing my own thing. That's the only thing that that's the main question I think that needs to get answered. So
my thing is, as I mentioned earlier, I actually go into a lot of these job interviews, right, just to kind of polish my skills. And the thing is, when it comes to this kind of position or industry, when I'm interviewing for these, none of these interviewers ask for my degree. They don't be like, oh, do you have a film degree? Did you graduate college? No, they don't care. All they want to do is they'd be like, oh, I see you brought your iPad here. Can you pull up some of your recent work or your website? And I'm like, hell yeah, let me pull this up. Let's go to VallejoCinema.com. By the way, anybody watching, please visit. definitely do that. That's dope, bro. I love that. I love that anecdote, because it just goes to show, man, that we live in a really interesting time, man. For them not to ask for your degree, and I love that, is showing adaptability, because they want to see your skill rather than a piece of paper. Yeah. But yeah, bro, go on, because again, I'm not good with advice. I think I know what you want to do. My initial thing, like I said, bro, when you mentioned D-Rock, is like, do it. Yeah. But I also want to make sure that at the end of the day, bro, I want to make sure that you still feel it's not a conflict with anything else, because I've been there and I still struggle with that. Because like you said, I like what you mentioned. I don't want to keep this as rainbows and unicorns. Yeah. It's an everyday thing, bro, where it's like, is this the right move? Is this the right, do we align with this business? Do we align with this? Do I want to be in this environment? Things like that. Yeah. But it's like, I think at the end of the day, man, if you do get, I don't want to say you know yourself and that's it. It's like, if you keep developing and have an interest in getting to know yourself each and every day, you'll definitely fit in wherever. Yeah. And definitely stand out. Fit in and stand out. It's like a weird conundrum, but yeah, man. I hope that kind of helps with the decision process, kind of how you're feeling, man. But that's a dope ass position. Yeah, that's crazy, huh? So, I mean, for my thing is, I think come Monday or even like later tonight, I got to make a few phone calls, see if that thing is still going, because I'm still in contact with the guy that I interviewed with, and he told me, he literally told me last night, he was like, oh, sorry I couldn't get back to you, man. Like, I've been doing interviews. So I'm like, whoa, okay. So there's other people up for this position, huh? Competitive, definitely. Yeah, man. So, but I think it's a really good, I think it would be a really good opportunity, if that, if it's still up for grabs. Yeah. I mean, as of right now, I've been talking to my other friends in the video production industry, and they said that, like, look, man, what you're doing now, you know, you're freelancing here and there. After you graduate and get your film degree, you're going to be doing the same thing. There's going to be absolutely... That's very true. Yeah, they told me there's going to be absolutely no difference.
Yes.
And a lot of them also told me the people in your industry, like, let's say the people who are leading video production, which in our case, it's Hollywood, right?
Yes.
Everybody knows how big those studios are. All of those guys are college dropouts. Some of them aren't even like, didn't even go to college. At the end of the day,
bro, you don't even care to ask. Like, you're not going to go ask, a producer, like, let me see your degree. You know, if you're making freaking movies or making numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's obsolete, man. Because the knowledge comes from the experience.
And I think, in reality, if I had my own large studio and I was hiring other video producers, if I was interviewing someone and I asked him, did you finish film school? Did you go to film school? If he says yes, I think I would judge him in the negative direction. You know what I mean? I don't know why I feel that way, because if I was interviewing some kid and I said, did you go to film school? He was like, hell no, I didn't go to film school. I went to go do my own thing. You know, I wanted to go at a faster pace. I'd be like, hell yeah, I want this kid on my team.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like you're right. We do live in such a special time, man.
We do, man.
Like because I don't know if your parents are if you're first generation.
Yes, first generation.
Cool. Yeah, so me too. And the thing is, when our parents immigrate to the US, they're sold on this American dream where it's like, hey, if you want to be successful, you got to finish school, you got to do a higher education. And I would say in the 90s when we were growing up.
Yes.
90s.
But today's my birthday, bro, by the way, January 31st, 96. Way. Yeah, bro. And
happy birthday, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. But aside from that, bro, what you just said right now, that we live in an interesting time, is because, Joe, today being my birthday, and I'm realizing 1996, man, and I'm 24 years old today. I could have been born in a whole different decade, a whole different era. And had not have access. Dude, the internet changed the game, man. And it's like you have access to anything, bro. Like even this technology, the way you're recording this, the way you're like anything, bro. It just blows my mind that I'm past the phase of like I don't want to have a pity party, man. It's like being a first gen too. You kind of realize these opportunities, bro. There's too much opportunity, bro. It's almost like crippling. Because you don't know what the fuck to do no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? So today I realized, and I've been thinking about it, but being 24 and your birthday feels a little different sometimes because it's like, wow, like today. But in all honesty, man, it's humbling because there's too much to be blessed about and too much to be grateful for, man.
Yeah.
And that's why it goes back to that. Like we live in a really interesting time, man, and you could do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not morally incorrect, As long as like I want to be a fucking murderer, like like what I mean, like I don't mean it like do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. It's more like, dude, you wanna have a podcast, do the fucking podcast. If you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. But it's like you want to record videos or you want to take an $80K job to be the fucking D-Rock, be the next MJ Vallejo, like do it, bro. Yeah, do it, because I've been saying this lately to my team too, man. Like, and I don't mean to be like negative, but it's like if I fucking die today, man, just know that I was doing everything that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So it's like, but then again, it's like, I didn't want to keep it like positive. I just want to make it like, just realizing in perspective what the fuck, what time we live in, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned, like if something happened to you today is one of my first projects of this year, one of my first clients, I actually filmed a funeral, man. Wow. Yeah. Man. And
how was that compared to other productions?
So, it really was the first time I've ever filmed a funeral. And the thing about that was it was really eye-opening to me. Definitely. Because especially in terms of career, family, life, relationships in general, because when I was filming the eulogies, nobody will ever say how much money that person had.
Yes.
Nobody.
Wow. That's a great
But they always talked about how much they loved the people around them and how much they loved doing what they do. Like in this example, it was he loved motorcycles, right? they were always talking about, man, he loved bikes. Every time I came over, he was working on his bike. And oh man, he loved his family. You know, he loved his sons. And you know, God forbid something happened to any of us. It's like, I want people to know that we were doing what we wanted to do, exactly, and not something that someone else wanted to do, you know? And that's why this week has been kind of like a weird mental struggle for me, because it's kind of like, I thought college is something I wanted to do, but I've built my brand in a way where maybe I don't even need it.
Yes.
Weird.
But if you didn't try, you know, it goes to show, like, what if you didn't try this, you know?
Yeah.
It's the beauty of it. There's a beauty in that, man. And that's awesome, bro. That's really interesting. You mentioned that. It's a great observation. Yeah.
Actually, on the other podcast I'm a part of, I mentioned that my biggest insecurity is my funeral, man.
Wow. Why is that?
So here's the thing, because a lot of people say, like, well, what do you live for, right? Like, what do you want in life? And it's like, oh, well, I want a house, I want a family, I want to get married, have kids. My biggest I want to say like in the past year, I've attended almost 5 or 6 memorials or funerals, man.
Wow.
And it really,
that's actually a lot.
Yeah. And it really puts you into perspective about life and stuff. You know, even like, you know, beginning of this week, you know, basketball legend.
Yeah, man. That one.
You know, Kobe Bryant passing away, you know, and his daughter, and you really get a perspective on these things where it's just like, I want to develop what people are going to say at my funeral. What are they going to say during my eulogy? Are people even going to have I want to be worth somebody building the courage to go up there and speak on the podium. Because, you know, a lot of times where it's like, you know, you're at a funeral and then the priest says, you know, if anybody wants to come up and say something, you know, please come on up now. And you know for a fact everybody there wants to.
Exactly.
Right? But the thing is, it's just sometimes they just have, you know, maybe the social anxiety, or they're not good at public speaking. So they're just going to like bite their tongue for that moment. But I want to be able to have the relationships I have in my circle with my people, you know, even with you. Where,
appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, where it's kind of in a way where you're like, you know what, I don't feel comfortable speaking in front of, you know, MJ's family during the eulogy, but I'm just gonna fucking do it because we had that connection, you know.
Exactly, that's what he, lived by. That's what he showed.
Yeah.
Me. Oh, I love that, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it, because it goes beyond legacy, man. It goes. You know, I want to build legacy and generational wealth, you know, for the future. But at the end of the day, too, like if I'm 6 feet under, I have no say anymore, you know.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a foundation I want to build. But I like that what people will say and build the courage to even go up there, man. Yeah. That's different. I've never heard that, and I've never heard it as an insecurity either. Yeah. That's I like that a lot, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, not a problem at all, man. And I like I always like admitting things like, you know, like insecurities, because, you know, if people ever do find out and they try using it against me, it's like, okay, cool, I already mentioned it, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like if I tell you today I smell terrible, which I don't, and you say like, man, MJ, you smell terrible, I would not feel bad because I already told you.
That's a good way to put it, man. No, man. And speaking on insecurities, bro, like I do have, I guess I've restructured it because I'm trying to prime my brain differently in the sense of like, okay, insecurities, they're also flaws, I guess. So I have various flaws that don't allow me to optimize my work or my environment. Like, for example, I've always been, if you go back a year and a half, 2 years ago, man, there's some content I dropped about EQ and emotional intelligence. And at that time I felt very on my prime about emotional intelligence. I was really objective about certain situations. Fast forward now, man, when, you know, having different things around you kind of get to you a little different, whether it's family, whether it's friends, business, you react sometimes like as a human being or like out of spite, you know. So my biggest flaw right now, insecurity right now, is my EQ, and I'm learning because I need to be the best leader. And what I mean by that, I'm not over here yelling at Mauricio saying like, what the fuck, bro? Like, why did you get that angle, man? Like, that's horrible. Like, no, it's more like I need to slow down a little bit and be a little bit more empathetic, where it's like, nah, man, like, you know, sometimes it's let's just keep it moving. You know what I mean? I'm not lashing out. It's just like, let's keep it moving. But it's like, it's all about conserving energy too. Like let's just focus. Instead of sitting here about why we couldn't do that angle for 2 hours, we could spend that 2 hours perfecting that angle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's definitely my biggest flaw right now. And especially being in a leader position where it's like you want to have direction and influence your team to also be the leader they can be, you know, and lead by example. So definitely, man.
Dang, man. So we're kind of getting a little bit close to the end of our time here, but I really want to conclude this whole thing with just, I would say just like advice, you know? So, in about 2 weeks' time, I'm actually going back to my old high school, and I'm going to be speaking to them about man. Careers in a creative field. So I want to ask you, like, well, what should I tell them? So essentially, what I'm doing is I'm going back to the film class or the video production class at my old high school, which is Mount Pleasant High School. Oh, nice. Cardinals? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not one of those people. You know, some of those people who are like super gung ho about their high school alumni. You know, everything?
Well, I mean, I mentioned my Hey Baylor, you know. But
Hey Baylors.
Yeah, man. No, I get it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Let's say you're going back to the Hey Baylors, and then you wanted to talk to them about like and one of the students asked you like, hey Luis, you know, after high school, I really want to, you know, work in video production, but, you know, specializing in kind of like marketing and branding at the same time. What would you suggest for me?
Here's the thing. I think this is more of a foundational thing. Let's suppose you're just talking to a group of students and take away the video production or whatever it is, right? But you said you're speaking to a film class?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it is going to be directed to film. But one thing I would say in general, man, well, and this is going based on like, what would my 24-year-old self tell the 18-year-old self?
Oh, that's even a better question. I want you to answer that. Yeah.
So, but that question sparked that idea because I tried to do that where it's like, what would the 18-year-old me want from me? Or what would they be told? And the biggest thing is, the faster you fail, the faster you'll find out what doesn't work. And just because you failed once doesn't mean you should knock it. It's like, obviously that whole saying, like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I think that you need to fail various different times to confirm that it doesn't work. But the faster you do it, the faster you find out what does work. So I think I would just say that cancel out the noise. Be in the middle space in the sense where, like, the same way you receive a compliment and it triggers your dopamine and you're up here in the clouds, and then the same way someone else could say a mean comment on the internet and brings you down to the ground, is like you got to find that middle gap. Meaning you prime your brain to listen to compliments and negativity the same way. And it really goes to like in you know, it comes in one way, it comes out the other, but in a respectful way. I'm not saying like fuck everyone, I don't care what the fuck they think about me, but it's being like humble. It's called humbleness. So I think, but I guess in the production side is like invest in yourself, invest in some equipment, but don't wait to get the best equipment. Yeah, just get a camera from eBay, get a camera from Craigslist. Someone's selling a camera right now on Craigslist. Like, get it. It might not be the best, but it's like it allows you to learn quickly. Jump on YouTube, watch tutorials and go from there.
Yeah, and I think also to add to that, to say to the 18-year-old self or even like the student, is after high school, surround yourself with people with similar motives and goals and similar drives. You know?
I agree, man.
Because, man, let me tell you something. Like in high school, I played 4 years of tennis in high school, man, and like the level of tennis I was playing at was like college level, you know?
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, like,
tennis is dope too, man.
Yeah, dude. And then it's a lot of it is a mental game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but you know, after high school, like I haven't touched a racket since, and I was just like partying hard and stuff like that. Yeah. And like now, you're just kind of like playing catch up, and because a lot of the times is when people. Especially like at high school graduations, they do these graduation speeches, right? And they're like, "This is your time to make a difference in the world." Yeah. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I think it really is more of a time to discover yourself, right?
Yes.
You shouldn't. I don't really think high school is the time where you got to discover yourself, because you really are limited on resources like travel, and even like you're limited on the kind of people you meet. So that's where I go back to saying, try to find people who have similar motives and drives and maybe even similar goals. So for example, this podcast, I had no intention on creating a podcast whatsoever.
Exactly.
But 6 months ago, I was hanging out. for whatever reason, for like a few months, I was just hanging out with a bunch of podcasters, and it literally happened like, organically. So like, so you kind of just see how like, wow, what the hell? Like, it's because you're hanging out with podcast people.
Yeah. No, and just before we end this, bro, it's like, actually, that's a great point. Is find yourself a good mentor or two, meaning, you know, you got to be with the people that you admire, like you said, and be around the people that you wish to be like. If you want to be in the fitness industry, go hang out with some bodybuilders and go train with them or whatever. If you want to be in the film industry, hang out with, you know, MJ, hang out with someone else in the film industry, things like that. So it's like, put yourself in the position you want to. And I think it's hard though, like if you look back at my 18-year-old self, when you tell someone that, but like when they're not actually trained to use resources or think that, but how, like it's kind of hard because, you know, we're not trained like that. And it doesn't, you know, it's sadly, but the high school system doesn't teach you that, because it's like, no, let's keep you on this track because you're going to go off to college. But it's like, you know, I'm not about school. Like, I'm not good at this. I want to do this. Yeah. So it's, yeah, man, I'll be honest right now, bro. Mauricio can vouch for me right here, is that I'll say this every day, man. As much as I love what to do, I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just going with it, and I'm trying to build, and I'm trying to move fast, because the faster I fail, the faster I'll find success.
Wow.
I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man. But I'm just having fun with it, and I'm building something, bro, and impact, and I want to be an example somehow. And if this shit fails, bro, like, this will cultivate something else.
Yeah, then you'll learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, Luis, thank you so much for being on the show, man. Honestly, that
appreciate this.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yes,
and happy birthday.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna have to get you on the podcast as well, man. Cause
I'd love to.
I love this. It's so much fun, and I appreciate it, man. Shout out to everyone watching this, and just go do shit, man. Go fail. Go have some fun with it. Network. Get yourself a mentor, and just have fun. So I appreciate you, MJ. Thank you.
All right, peace out, everyone. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Creative Crucible Podcast, guest starring Luis Angel. If you like that podcast episode, please feel free to hit the 5-star rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and we would love it so much if you could comment down below.